How's it going, guys, and welcome to Out of Bounds. I am your host, James Skrmetta. Of course, thank you for tuning in. Usually, when I do the show, I have like a nice list, an outline, if you will, of kind of the topics we're going to hit, kind of an idea of what we're going to do. You know, we set it up nice. We're professional here on the Out of Bounds podcast. I believe this is the 35th one of these we've done. So we have a system, correct? And I'm sure you as a listener enjoys a certain kind of system and a certain kind of I know what to expect when I click play and the sweet voice comes over to the other side of the speakers. But today we're just going to riff. We're just going to let it all hang out. We're going to push all the chips to the center and just see what the hell happens. Because I am recording this about 20 minutes after the afternoon games ended on Sunday. The time that I record this differentiates each week, really. Sometimes I do it at about 10 o'clock at night if there's an important thing I'm waiting on. Sometimes it's earlier if the afternoon games are not that big of a deal. And today, I was like, well, I'll wait until the college football rankings come out. Then we'll do it, whatever. Well, Saints played Carolina in the afternoon. The MLS Cup was going on in the afternoon. So I was like, well, I'll stick around and watch all that. In the meantime, I made a few funsies, a couple of funsy wagers. I have had the worst beats in the history of betting of all time simultaneously within the same 24-hour space continuum. And I'm going to tell you about them right now. First of all, the college picks that I gave you on Friday, let's look at them. USM Western Kentucky over of 75.5. Guess what the over was? 73. Pretty close loss. Yes, it was. Yes, indeed it was. Next, Michigan State minus 3.5. Guess what they won by? 3. Wow, that's a half loss. Yes, it was. Yes, a half-point loss. What about the next one? Bama minus 18. How'd that go? Well, Florida completed a Hail Mary to blow that up, and Derrick Henry took a knee on the 3-yard line to make sure that we didn't cover. 0-3, and all three total combined missed by less than a touchdown. Then, on my personal bets, this is what I did from Saturday to Sunday. I had USM Western Kentucky over of 73.5. You know where the game landed? 73. Then, I took the Panthers in the second half against the Saints. Right? So they had to win by 6. No, they had to win by a half point. Again, that's 2. Then I had Brandon LaFell's catches over of 4.5. Guess how many he had? If you've been listening to the show, you probably picked it up by now. He had 4. So Saturday night, 2 on Sunday, 3. 1, 2, 3 misses by a half point. Or half catch. If you combine all 3, it's only 1.5. Most people don't have half-point losses in their entire season. And I had 3. Then, if you count the Michigan State one that I told y'all, because I got it at 3, it went to 3 right before game time, and I got it. But if you would have taken it that day, that's 4. 4 half-point losses over the course of 2 days. Not even 2 days, 24 hours. I honestly don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say. How it happened, I don't know. What we're going to do, I have no idea. But that is actually it for the college football regular season. So how we did, well, our last week, like you saw, was 0-3. This is our weeks from 1 to 14. 3-2, 0-3, 1-2, 3-0, 3-1, 2-1, 2-1, 3-0, 2-1, 3-0, 3-0, 3-0, 1-2, and 0-3. That little stretch there is strong. We finished the college football season with out-of-bounds winners. 29-15, 14 games over 500. So congratulations to everyone who stuck with us from first week to now. 14 games over 500 is nice. In the NFL, we were right with Jacksonville, Tennessee over at 43.5. That was easy. We were wrong with Cleveland plus 9.5. They got shellacked. We'll get to that in a minute. And we were right with Denver minus 3 at San Diego. And tonight, Pittsburgh and Indianapolis, or Sunday night, Pittsburgh and Indianapolis have not played yet by the time I've done this. But it's unbelievable. Go ask anybody that you know that places wagers and ask them how many times they've lost by a half point. They'll probably tell you some fisherman story like, oh, you know, the fish was this big when I caught it in the storm and no one was around to see me. Some crazy tale about how they lost by a half point. And then you tell them, hey, man, well, guess what? That happened 4 times to one guy over the course of 24 hours. I'm reeling over here. And then what I have to do, I've got to contain myself, and I've got to get in front of the microphone in the lavish studios, and I've got to talk to the people. Because Monday morning they're going to expect something. And I've got something for you. It's called heartbreak and devastation. 4 half-point losses. If you're listening to the audio version, available on iTunes or Stitcher, the Future of Radio app that we have partnered with, pitting us against people like Bill Simmons, Mark Maron, Nerdist. Go over to YouTube, search Skrmetta, James Skrmetta, whatever. Find this video. Because I want you to see on my face the pain, the agony that I am withholding, the pressure that is on my back would crush the strongest concrete structure. Nothing has felt this much pain and anguish as I am right now. This face right here, this is a lot like the face that Batman probably had whenever his parents were murdered in cold blood in front of him when he was like 4 years old. That is the exact same weight as this. Like, oh, Batman, whatever, you know, walking out from a movie, blap, blap, oh, dead parents, blah, blah, blah. Oh, wow, 4 half-point losses in 24 hours. Same thing. Here's the scales. Oh, same. But we can't just rest on that. You know, we can't talk about that forever. We only have 30 minutes. If it was a 3-hour show, if somebody was smart enough to give us the reins, and someone was smart enough to say, hey, you know, here's the mic. Give me 3 hours, 5 days a week. We would be doing some venting. But we can't. We can't do that. So that was how I did as far as the weekend. We're going to get to, this is a stacked show now, even though we're just riffing. This is a stacked show. We're going to get to that. We just covered that. We're going to get to the MLS Cup. The MLS season is over. There is a champion. Was it who I predicted? LOL, if you haven't figured it out by now, no. Then, Saints almost beat the Panthers. We'll talk a little about that. Patriots lost 2 in a row. Talk about that. College football. Bowls are out. College football rankings are out. Talk about that. Let's go with that first because that's most important, right? College football bowls are out, boys. Let's check it out. Here we go. The playoff was what we said it was going to be. No surprises. Absolutely no surprises. We called it. You know, we said Michigan State would beat Iowa. And we said only difference was we had Oklahoma at 3. They moved Oklahoma to 4, which I think is ridiculous. But the semifinal games are Michigan State versus Bama. That's 3-2. Michigan State's 3, Bama's 2. And then the other one is Clemson is the 1 seed. And they play number 4 Oklahoma. Now, those games are interesting because I thought the seeding was going to be different. I think Bama will beat Michigan State, but I think it'll be ugly. And then I think Oklahoma will beat Clemson. Clemson they're holding on for dear life. They should have lost to North Carolina. I mean, they are holding on. Deshaun Watson is good. Make no mistake about that. But they are holding on. And so you'll have the winner of those games meeting to tell you who will be the national champion. If I'm putting my money on somebody, I'm putting them on Oklahoma. But if life is consistent, then run away from Oklahoma. Let's look at some other bowls here. Some other bowls that matter. I'm sifting through the ones that don't for you. Let's see here, boys. The GoDaddy Bowl, Georgia Southern versus Bowling Green. That is December 23rd. I might honestly put my existence on Bowling Green in that game. Because I love Bowling Green. I love that offense. I might just put it all on Bowling Green. The Zaxby's Heart of Dallas Bowl. The University of Southern Mississippi continues their triumphant return to football prominence. That was a hell of a sentence. With a game against Washington in Dallas. So that'll be the Heart of Dallas Bowl. Southern Miss, my alma mater, plays against Washington. There was rumors they'd play against Texas or a Pac-12 team like Washington, but they kept mentioning Arizona. But they obviously didn't play Arizona. So that Southern Miss, congratulations, a hell of a season. Todd Monken is the greatest human being to ever exist. 5-7 Nebraska got into a bowl. They play UCLA in the Foster Farms Bowl. Cal plays Air Force on the Pac-12. North Carolina and Baylor, two teams with national championships seemingly at their grasp, end up in the Russell Athletic Bowl, which we played in Orlando. That's North Carolina versus Baylor. If Baylor had Seth Russell, that game would be 120 to 115. But Baylor, you don't lose to Tech. They lost to Texas, and I was going to say you don't lose to Texas and then beat good teams, but Oklahoma lost to Texas and could be your national champion. Then the first SEC team shows its face in the Advocare V100 Texas Bowl. LSU plays Texas Tech. Two completely different offenses, right? LSU's run-based, run-heavy, really only run. Texas Tech airs it out. So it's going to be an interesting game, kind of a tale of two different styles of offense. If you can put the two teams together, then you probably have a perfect team. But next, Birmingham Bowl at Legion Field in Birmingham. If you've ever been there, you know how awful it is. Auburn faces off against Memphis. Memphis, Justin Fuente, their head coach, going to Virginia Tech. Auburn, kind of a rough year. Then another SEC team. North Carolina State faces Mississippi State. So the Bulldogs go to the Belk Bowl in Charlotte. That's on December 30th. It's an interesting matchup. State, Dak Prescott's kind of on swan song. He didn't look 100% against Ole Miss, but we'll see what they can do against NC State. Holiday Bowl, USC versus Wisconsin. The Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl in Atlanta. Houston, very good Houston team versus Florida State. That's going to be a good matchup. That's two good games right there. That's on New Year's Eve. That's where also some of the semifinal games, both semifinal games are. Then on New Year's Day, another SEC squad, Tennessee, faces Northwestern in the Outback Bowl in Tampa. No word yet on if friend of the podcast, Gunkel, is gone. We'll try and get him on here to talk some bowl games. The Buffalo Wild Wings Citrus Bowl, Michigan versus Florida. Fact, Florida is the only SEC team that is an underdog in their bowl game, and they're minus 7 against Michigan. I would not be surprised if Michigan beat them by 1,000,000. Battle Frog Fiesta Bowl. I'm not sure what a Battle Frog is, but somehow they're sponsoring the Fiesta Bowl. I don't know what happened in Tostitos. But that is Notre Dame against Ohio State. A very interesting game right there. That's two really good teams, two great programs, two great coaches. That's going to be one you circle on your calendar, and that is, of course, New Year's Day. The Rose Bowl is Stanford versus Iowa. That's going to be a snooze fest, except for Christian McCaffrey, who might just be the best player in college football. The Sugar Bowl, Oklahoma State versus Ole Miss. It seems like these two cats play every 3 or 4 years. That is in New Orleans. That is in the Big Easy. So Oklahoma State travels to New Orleans to face what I'm sure will be a very pro Ole Miss crowd in New Orleans. So we'll see what happens down there. January 2nd, another SEC team, Penn State, faces off against Georgia in the Tax Layer Bowl. That is down in Jacksonville, Florida. Then we have another one, Arkansas, who towards the end of the season might have been playing the best ball out of any SEC team. They face off against Kansas State. A fun game on paper here at the Valero Alamo Bowl. Oregon versus TCU in San Antonio. So that's basically a home game for TCU. And then finally, the last bowl game before the real bowl game, and this is all on January 2nd. West Virginia versus Arizona State. Then January 11th is your national championship game, which will face off with the winners of the semifinal games. So that is your bowl game schedule. We ran it completely down right there. The SEC has some interesting matchups. Like I said, the only one that is not a favorite is Florida, and they don't deserve to be a favorite against anyone except junior college and high school teams. We're not going to do a total bowl breakdown right here because that's going to be its own show, and we'll break all this stuff down the closer it gets. Bowl season starts December 19th. December 19th, so have a couple weeks here to kind of recharge, get all of our stuff going before the bowls. We will be doing a bowl pick'em. I'll set it up. It'll be on ESPN. I'll set up the lobby. I'll set it all up, and I'll give you the information. Feel free to enter, and the winner can, who knows, the winner can maybe get some airtime on here or something. So we'll see what we can do there, but that's the bowl schedule. As far as the conference championships go, not nothing too surprising. The way it usually works is it's really crazy. Teams are losing all over the place, or it goes basically chalk. It went basically chalk. Even the scores, we figured Michigan State, Iowa would be a low-scoring game. We figured Bama, Florida would be what it was. I was surprised Florida scored 15 points, but that's what happens whenever you get a special team touchdown and a Hail Mary. Their offense was terrible at the entire game, and the fact that they had like 3 yards in the second quarter, 3 yards in the third quarter. I mean, the fact that they had 15 points is unbelievable. But Bama obviously is the only SEC team that has a chance in the national championship. They go with Coker. Coker, for some reason, I think he's a lot better than they play him. I think he's a lot better than maybe Kiffin believes, but they play him really weird. I don't know if you watched the game. I watched every second of it, unfortunately, but they did a lot of read option stuff with him, a lot of designed runs with Coker. I mean, it was almost like Michael Vick at one point, and he's a tough kid. He's good. I mean, he extends a lot of plays, and I wish that Bama, I don't know if it's Saban or Kiffin, I can't answer that, but I wish that Bama would do more with Coker because I think he's good enough to have big games, and they're not going to be able to win. If they would have played anyone besides Florida in that game, if they were to line up and play Michigan State the way they played in the SEC championship games, they'd probably lose. Oklahoma would beat them out of the gym. I don't know if they can beat. I honestly do not know if Bama can beat Clemson or Oklahoma. I think both quarterbacks would give them fits. They're bad with mobile quarterbacks anyways, and Deshaun Watson and Baker Mayfield both can do whatever they want. I watched the Pac-12 championship game, every second of it, Stanford USC. Yeah, I tell you what, man, we've been saying that Baker Mayfield should win the Heisman. I might have to change my vote to Christian McCaffrey. What he did in that game was unbelievable. He looked like someone's creative player on like NCAA football. He threw for a touchdown. He was returning kicks, returning punts. He was catching balls out of the backfield. He was running the ball. He was every aspect of their offense. He was unbelievable. He had 461 total all-purpose yards. He broke Barry Sanders' record for most all-purpose yards in the season. He was unbelievable. He was dynamite. I couldn't get over how good he was. The first time I've watched him play, honestly. First time I've watched full Stanford game. He was unreal. Christian McCaffrey is probably the best player in the country. I saw Bomani Jones said if he was playing on another team, he'd probably win the Heisman, just like Toby Gerhart. And obviously the show was not around during Toby Gerhart's days in college, but I was a huge Toby Gerhart backer. And I thought that his season was so much better than Mark Ingram's. And Gerhart won. Gerhart lost. And I actually wrote a bunch of articles or whatever claiming kind of reverse racism for white running backs and just kind of how it works. And we were making jokes when me and my friends were watching the games, and we kept saying, "Oh man, McCaffrey's gonna be a great fullback," and that's just how it is. Like McCaffrey's not getting any love, he's not getting any looks, and he's so much better than any running back that I saw in college. Even Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette is a monster. He did things that no one else seemingly could do at certain points. But he ain't doing what McCaffrey's doing. He ain't returning punts. He's not returning kicks. And it's not like McCaffrey does it and he's not very good at it. Every single time he touches the ball, he can go for 6. And we'll do a full podcast on the Heisman. I'll cast my vote, all that stuff. And so we have a lot of stuff on the horizon, with the bowl games and with the Heisman and with the national championship and the semifinals and the BCS Bowl. So we have a lot of stuff going on. It's going to be exciting. Let's shift gears a little bit, though. Let's go to the MLS Cup. We've got to talk about it. We only have about 10 minutes left in the show. The Portland Timbers are your 2015 MLS Cup champions. Congratulations to the Portland Timbers. The game was absolutely banana land. In the first 20 seconds, the fastest goal in MLS Cup history was scored. Within 27 seconds in now, Portland scores when Columbus plays the ball back a few times to their goalkeeper, Steve Clark. Steve has the worst touch in human history. Goes off of his foot about 4 feet to the left. They had a Timbers person chasing after him, Diego Valeri. Clark tries to play it out, bounces off of Valeri into the goal. So the Timbers are up 1-0, 27 seconds in Columbus now. And then, of course, Portland scored again 6 minutes later. I thought it was all over then. But Kai Kamara did what he could. Kai scored. He was actually held in check for most of the game. All the game, honestly. Besides that goal. He had one chance. He took it and he scored. And that was something I thought had to happen. I thought Kai had to get... Kai is really, really dangerous when he becomes a presence in the air. And he never was allowed to become a presence in the air in this game. I don't know if it was Nat Borchers or more of the Portland defense, but they contained Kai Kamara. Ethan Finley was subbed off around the 50-minute mark, so Higuain could never get control of the middle. And Portland wore them out, and honestly, Portland probably should have won 3 or 4-1. I mean, they had one goal, a Fernando Adi header went off the post. They had a ton of chances. They had one ball. There was a handball that wasn't called. Columbus had a handball on the line to save a goal. So this game was 2-1, but Portland was the better team from 27 seconds to 90 minutes, that's for sure. And a fantastic game. It was so much fun to watch. It was a really good game. Really good game. I cannot believe Columbus lost at home, though. That's what blows my mind, because Columbus was packed. Those are really emotional fans. They might be, besides Portland, honestly, they might be the most passionate fans in the MLS, especially at Columbus. And all week, like I told y'all, Kick TV, Copa 90, MLS.com, all of them, they were in Columbus all week, and it looked incredible. And Portland went in there, and they dominated. So kudos to Portland. They won the Cup. They deserved the Cup. And I mentioned it last podcast, but this was the first season of mine to watch the MLS from basically front to finish. I watched almost every game from the All-Star game until this MLS Cup, and what a season. Love it. Invest in it. Find your favorite team. Buy their merchandise. And be ready for next year when we watch and talk about all of the MLS action. But the MLS season is over now, so the MLS Minute on here will wait. It will wait. We'll talk about what happens in the offseason, but I cannot wait until the season kicks back up again. Now, let's shift back again to the NFL. The Saints. Well, you want to start with the Patriots or the Saints? What do y'all think? Well, let's start with Austin Davis. So we talked about Southern Miss on Monday. We talked about Austin Davis on Friday, a guy that I played softball with, collegiate intramural softball. Austin Davis, 25 for 38, 230 yards, and 1 interception. Obviously, no touchdown. That's Austin Davis. Averaged less than 10 yards a completion. They probably didn't let him air it out a lot. They probably didn't give him the full. He probably didn't have the full playbook, and the Bengals put it on as a tough defense to go up against. I have full faith in Davis. I have full faith in what he's doing. I hope since Cleveland gives him a chance. I know they have Johnny Football. I know they have some stuff going on, but I think two things are going to happen. They're either going to cut Manziel or they're going to fire Pettin. And if they fire Pettin, then that means the coaches want Manziel to play. So if you see them fire Pettine, that means Manziel is given the golden key, and the management and the front office in Cleveland is saying Johnny Football is our guy. If they cut Manziel, obviously they are done with the whole thing. Pettine's still going to be the coach, and they'll move in a different direction, which hopefully is Austin Davis. We're in a win-win situation in Cleveland. We like Manziel, we like Davis, so we're just interested to see what Cleveland's going to do. The Saints played the Panthers really, really well at home. Had a chance to win the game. Was winning the game until the very end when Cam Newton was brilliant and willed his team to a victory. And if it wasn't for Ted Ginn dropping everything that was in his general direction, the Panthers would have won comfortably. But the Saints played good. Saints played good. They're, what do you want me to say? They're 4-8. It's not like this game was. It's not like we were supposed to win. It's not like anyone saw this coming. It's not like the win really matters in the long run. The season's over. It's good to see the team. It's good to see the team play hard. That's all you can ask for. You don't want to show up and have the Panthers beat you by 40. The dome was rocking. They're not supposed to win the game. The Panthers are an undefeated team. Divisional game. They played them tough. 3-point loss to the best team in football. I'll take it. And there were some problems. Brandon Browner showed his ugly face again. Some defensive holding led to a touchdown. And, he's a problem. So we'll have to get rid of him. We'll have to get rid of a few pieces. Cooks is still having trouble figuring out where his role is. He had to play on the outside a little bit. And Josh Norman absolutely embarrassed him. Moved him to the slot away from the best cornerback in football, and he played better. But I think without a true number one threat receiver, Cooks will not be able to shine. Cooks is not a number one receiver. He'll never be a number one receiver. If Cooks was opposite of Andre Johnson or Calvin Johnson or Julio Jones or players like that, he probably would be good. But he's just not there. He doesn't have it yet on the team. Marcus Colston isn't a number one guy. Benjamin Watson's not a number one guy. So Cooks needs someone else on the team, and maybe we can go. I tell you what, if we went after Mike Thomas from Southern Miss, Mike Thomas is one of those guys that can be a real player. He reminds me of Mike Evans from Texas A&M. Thomas is one of those guys you throw it up, he'll go and get it now. Good route runner, not overly fast, but he'll catch whatever you got. He's a great player. It's like a mix between Odell Beckham and Mike Evans. He's kind of physically he's bigger than ODB, but he makes spectacular catches. So Mike Thomas from Southern Miss, I think they projected him to be like a third-round draft pick as a player. The Saints could go get him. That's a good way to rebuild that offense, and with Breeze, that would be fantastic. As far as we only have about 2 minutes left. We've actually covered everything I wanted to cover. So the Patriots are the final thing we got to cover here. They lost 2 in a row, and to the Eagles at home. So crazy loss there. You don't see a lot of home losses. They had a lot of stuff going on. Brady threw a 100-yard pick six at the goal line, which was the game. That was the swing. There was also a punt return touchdown, a fumble return for a touchdown. So Philadelphia had some help. But it's obvious that New England, as great as they are, they just like every other team. It's hard to overcome injuries. With Gronkowski, with Edelman, it's the best team in football, without a doubt. Without Gronkowski, without Edelman, they're vulnerable. And I'm really surprised they lost to a team as bad as Philadelphia. But, stuff happens. It's really surprising they lost to Philadelphia at home. Even though I told you all on this podcast about 2-3, maybe a month ago, that Philadelphia plays better on the road because Philly are hellacious fans. Like the Philadelphia fans will turn on you in a heartbeat. They're not always positive. They're incredibly negative. And Philly fans boo Philly players just like they boo anybody else. So Philadelphia is a team that under Chip Kelly has actually played better on the road, as crazy as that sounds. So maybe it really wasn't that big of a shock that if Philly was to beat New England, it would be on the road. But I still think New England's the best team in the AFC and probably the best team in football when they're healthy. This New England team, probably isn't better than Carolina. I think Carolina is proving that they're the best team in football. They're undefeated. Cam Newton's playing at an MVP. He's almost playing at a collegiate level. Like today, he went 28 for 41, 330 yards, 5 touchdowns. Let's see what his rushing yards were. I mean, this guy is doing what he did at Auburn. He's taking this team and he's willing this team and he's doing everything he can to make sure they win. And when Cam's in the game and when Cam's playing at that level, it's hard to count him out. And it's hard to count Carolina out because they have an incredible defense. It's not like it's just Cam. They have probably the best defense in the league. Their defense is much better than New England's. And with Josh Norman playing at corner, he's playing the best corner in the game. So if you want to simplify that, it's like, they basically have Patrick Peterson on the best defense in the league with Luke Kuechly, probably the best linebacker in the league. Jared Allen, people like that are on the defensive line. This team's nasty now. This team's nasty. Team can play. The only thing that really surprises me about Carolina is that they're wide receivers. Their wide receivers are awful. Ted Ginn's their best receiver. Greg Olsen is the main target. He's their Gronk, I guess, but it's crazy. It'd be hard to believe that Newton could win the championship, win the Super Bowl with Ted Ginn as his number one receiver. But when you're playing like Cam Newton's playing right now, I guess anything is possible. But that is it, guys. We have wrapped this thing up. We've covered every topic we wanted to cover. That's like 5 topics. We covered me venting about my bad luck. We covered the MLS Cup. We covered the Saints. We covered the Patriots. We went through all the college football playoff bowl games. Read the whole schedule. Went through the conference championship games. We're all over the place. We're all over the place. So thank you for listening. There's a lot of stuff going on there. We got to get longer shows. We got to get to 3 hours. The only way we can do that is with y'all's help. So keep sharing the show. Keep supporting the show. Keep listening, all that stuff. Rate and review on Stitcher so we can take the fight to Bill Simmons' front door and to Mark Maron's front door, and we can be rated with those guys. That's what I want. And then if we can get higher up, then of course I will put more time. We'll spread the show out. The more reviews, the more ratings, the more positive support we get, the more the show goes up. So thanks, guys, again for watching. I am your host, or listening. I am your host, James Skrmetta. This has been another great show of Out of Bounds. Enjoy your week, guys. I hope your week goes better than my 4 half-point losses. Take it easy, guys.